We need to address the situational awareness of the citizens of Metropolis. Okay? There's far too many people just standing like this looking at a kaiju, okay? Yeah. I mean, you need to, when the alert sounded, they all hit the bridge, but I feel like I would have been hitting the bridge a lot sooner. Yeah, but whatever. Welcome back to the Breakroom. It's been 3 years since James Gunn was announced as the co-CEO of DCU. It's been 3 months.
It's been 3 months
since I got this excited for a movie. It's been 3 minutes since I downed a cup of coffee to get energized, and it's been 3 seconds since somebody posted a clickbait thumbnail calling Superman woke trash. It's the Breakroom official Superman after show. We're so excited to talk. Oh, well, also play that graphic.
It's the review, baby! We're reviewing a movie.
We supply our own custom theme song. I'm Zach Huddleston. Thrilled to be here today to talk about James Gunn's Superman, and also thrilled for our illustrious panel. He just escaped from a glass box prison in a pocket dimension. It's Erik Voss.
You date a tech billionaire and write a blog about him, and he's gonna lock you up forever.
No, that is not okay. All right, they've been wearing hypno glasses their whole life. It's Perine.
No one knows who I am. No one knows who I am.
No, you got your name on the screen right under.
That's
Wait
a lie.
a second.
That's fake.
The whole time, Aaron?
Yes.
The whole time?
And don't you dare call him Chief. We're thrilled, friend of the channel, thrilled to have you here. Known worldwide as Fit Dad CEO on Instagram and other platforms. Please welcome Dave Ogleton to the show.
Don't dare call me Chief.
Oh, that was a nice Perry White kind of timbre you had there. Okay, we've got a lot to talk about. Coming up, we're gonna get to the cameos we liked, the sequences we enjoyed, what we think this movie says about the future of the DCU. When's the next time we might see Superman? What's up with Erik's theory that Ultraman is going to be Bizarro?
Or already is? I feel like that's the common interpretation. This is a spoiler conversation, by the way. So if you've tuned into this, hopefully you've watched Superman, but we will get into everything that happens in this movie, some big cameos that show up, especially in that final scene. And so if you haven't seen the movie, just decide not to care.
What, as you left the theater, upon your viewing or multiple viewings of Superman, what is the first thing that you were thinking about that you can't wait to talk with somebody about? What is your biggest takeaway from this film, do you think?
I can't wait to see Supergirl.
Yeah, especially because of that end scene.
That was phenomenal, the way that they set that up, and especially if they're apparently going based off of the comic book of that particular character. I was extremely happy to see them set it up that way.
Yeah, there looks like they're doing the Tom King Woman of Tomorrow storyline in recent years, and it was celebrated for just this true grit, this cosmic true grit approach to the character, where she's not even the narrator of it. Ruthie is the narrator of it, and I'm really excited for this. And I think a lot of people are like, "Wait, is she drunk all the time?" It's no, she's not. She just, we've all been to that Buffalo Bills pregame tailgate, and there's just one drunk girl there who wants to wrestle you, and that's who she is, and that's what's fun about her. She's very, very, very in your face, and I think she's just fun. She's also a dog girl, and it's fun.
No, absolutely agree. If they had the QR code on screen right after that of go ahead and buy your Supergirl ticket, I might be that was effective marketing for a future project for sure. Aaron, what was your big takeaway?
Oh man, I think that all of this paid off, and that where is Mr. Terrific right now? Where is it?
Oh yes.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Erik is hiding under. He's hiding. Where is it?
I don't know.
Is that just shadowy figure?
He wouldn't waste his time here. That's what's so cool about the way Eddie played him, is he's just he's very conservative with how he spends his time in his, even the words he chooses. He's just very calculated. He's so cool.
Yeah. And Eric, you've already talked a lot about Superman. You've already produced multiple pieces of content. What was your initial takeaway walking out of the film?
I mean, just that the implication of the DC universe that's being built here from, everything that we're talking about, future spin-off characters, but that mural in the Hall of Justice, the fact that they shot the Hall of Justice in the Cincinnati Union Terminal is so cool. The history of it, and that they implied that all these Golden Age DC heroes are on that mural and we're part of this world. I can't wait to see the high-res version of that James Gunn releases. I don't even care about the Batman of it all yet. And I think this was one of the first DC movies. Richard Donner's Superman made us care about Superman, but since Christopher Nolan's Batman movies, we've all wanted to know, where is Batman in this world? He is the billion-dollar character of DC's franchise, but this is the first time where I'm I can wait for Batman. I want to see more of Superman. I want to see more of the cosmic, fantastical characters, the aliens of this world,
Yes, we're going to talk a lot about kind of the world that this is set up, and I would say for me, of the many things that this movie accomplished and did well, a fully fleshed out world in 2 hours is pretty wild, considering the number of characters that are kind of established for the first time and all that. But speaking of which, why don't I just do a quick plot synopsis to refresh all of our memories and to, again, fully spoil anybody that hasn't been able to see the film yet. This Superman starts with a Lex Luthor that has been putting in his R&D. Okay, he's got a team. He's got all kinds of research and video game-esque moves planned. We're already in media res of his plan to take down Superman. He's literally just been beat up as the movie begins. He's even got a clone of Superman. Big spoiler here. A clone of Superman hiding inside an Ultraman costume, hiding inside a Hammer of Baravia costume. There's a Russian nesting doll of characters there. The engineer, kind of his other top henchwoman, and an army of Raptor guys that seemingly low skilled. I'm just gonna say that. They definitely have some Stormtrooper aim. You know what I mean? I didn't see a lot of blows landed by the Raptors, but that's okay. We need some red shirts in all universes. And that is a lot for Superman to overcome. And his alternate ego, Clark Kent, also has some challenges. He's in that interesting phase in his relationship with Lois Lane where stuff's starting to get real. She's starting to get annoyed with his dinner choices. You know what I mean? Hasn't met the parents yet, starting to have arguments about global politics. The glow might be off the brand new relationship. We'll see. But all of that kind of sets the stage for the events that took place in this film. And then, of course, we get a really deep bench of supporting characters, as mentioned, including fun roles for Mr. Terrific, Green Lantern Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, playing some key roles. Of course, the unspoken star of the movie, Krytpo, the Super Dog, who, through no dialogue, but kind of delivers a lot of the key moments of the film. So, with that said, let's start maybe on the main cast. Okay, David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult playing kind of the big three of this film. What did you think of those portrayals and those characters?
So I actually think Cornsweet, he got stronger as Superman as the movie went on, and I actually think his most powerful parts were when he wasn't in costume. He was such a good Superman in his Clark Kent clothes. And those were the moments where I think he actually shined in the movie. As far as Brosnahan, I think she was born to play this role as Lois Lane. There was one part in the movie where it was at the beginning, where they were kind of going back and forth on the political arguments. And I actually almost yelled at the screen getting Clark's back because she was so she was right, which was the worst part about it. She was right in her argument, and I kind of was just stop beating him up, get off his back,
poor guy,
get off his back. Yeah, I'm like he was just trying to help. So I think she was the perfect selection for Lois Lane, and Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. I was iffy on this one. I think that was probably the most questionable one going into the movie, and he ended up coming out being one of the strongest characters in the movie. He didn't play the character like so cocky that you just didn't believe it. He played it. There was one part I think where he basically says like, "I know I'm jealous. Like that's the whole point of why I'm doing this." And I was like, I can't believe he actually said that. But I'm like, I feel like that's such a Lex Luthor thing to say, to just admit it and just like not care. So the three of them were just on screen when Clark and him were face to face. I was like, yes, and he never met him before. So I was like, I love this beginning relationship between him and Lois, him and Lex. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so much of the movie is like kind of built on the chemistry of those three people together, right?
Yep.
And I thought that was like, you're absolutely right. I've never seen David Corn Sweat in anything before this film. I haven't seen, he's made he was in Pearl and small role in Twisters, right? But like, I hadn't seen those films. I thought he was so good. And like, it is not an easy role to pull off. And like, to be able to play the kind of aw shucks kind of sweet guy, that's not easy. To do that and not be completely corny or whatever, right? And like to find a little comedy and the strength. I thought he was a really good Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he struck me as like, we talked about Superman being a Boy Scout, but I think like in this case it's more of like a homeschooled kid. Like it's a homeschool kid, or it's the church camp kid who's now gone to a public high school. It was just like, why is everyone using this language right now? Like, we got a bit of that with Captain America, Steve Rogers in the MCU language, but like he was always cooler at the end of the day. Like as played by Chris Evans, cast for his role in Fantastic Four as Johnny Storm, like he was never fully just a Boy Scout. And like, so to have like a Boy Scout Superman is actually kind of refreshing because he's physically very fierce. And like some of the coolest heroics he pulls off in this movie are just when he's saving things. Like the coolest shots are just when he's like center framed, saving some kid, like saving the girl who's like doing hopscotch as canisters are flying at her. Such a cool shot.
I want to come back to
the dog who won't get out of the way.
The dog, the squirrel. Baby Joey from the weird Proton River Black Hole. Like that's such a cool shot. It looks beautiful.
We need to address the situational awareness of the citizens of Metropolis. Okay, there's far too many people just standing like this looking at a kaiju. Okay, I mean you need to. When the alert sounded, they all hit the bridge. But I feel like I would have been hitting the bridge a lot sooner. Yeah. But whatever.
But yeah, it's nice to see him do that. I do think we didn't get to see enough Clark because the whole hypno glasses thing, because Lois knows, we only got to see that one scene of him in the Daily Planet offices as Clark Kent. And I still think Christopher Reeve did a better job in the clowning of it than Corn Sweat got to show in this movie. That's one gripe that I have. But I agree with you. I think Rachel Brosnahan was born to play this role. I like that Rachel Brosnahan is like 7 or 8 years older than David Corn Sweat, because doesn't he feel like a guy who's like in his first relationship and she's like in her 8th, That she's just like, okay, I don't have much bullshit, but he's like this sweet boy and I'm going to take care of him. He's trying to cook me dinner. All he knows how to make is scrambled eggs. Like, okay, fine. But my most important priority is my career as a journalist and my values as a journalist. And you are not a great journalist if you're okay interviewing yourself using too many adverbs. I think she was great, and I think Nicholas Hoult in some ways is born to play Lex Luthor, or at least this version of Lex Luthor. It is kind of a campy villain, but he believes it so hard. And when he's mentioning Galileo and Einstein, he's kind of like his voice is breaking a little bit. He's like crying almost, like he's kind of a big baby in some ways. But like in the way that a lot of our tech CEOs are big babies who are used to being surrounded by sycophants and have kind of gamed the algorithm of the world in a way to kind of find the cheat codes to get ahead. And I really like this take on the character. I like him as written, and I loved him as performed.
Yeah.
Aaron, how about you?
I really think we've come a long way since like David Corn Sweat doesn't look like Superman off of a weird blurry screenshot that's obviously distorted because of the lens they're using. But I'm glad we're past that because it looks like everybody agrees this guy's Superman. It's Superman. Like, look, if the first thing on the test is this man Superman? Boom, we're good. And everything else fires from there. Brosnahan super assured as Lois Lane. Like, this is a woman that knows what she's doing in any circumstance and like outmaneuvers people with powers throughout this whole thing. Like, Mr. Terrific is like helping, but she has him on his like back foot a little bit. Like I don't think anybody else could talk about that garage door to him, and she just said it. You know, so there's that. And for Nicholas Hoult, we've had this thing with movies lately where like villains are always kind of misunderstood, and he's just a jerk. He's just a jerk. He just sucks.
Yes.
And it is like you feel good when David Cornswet finally gets to like put the boots to this guy ideologically at the end. Where I'm like, I don't know. Last time I felt really good. Where I'm like, yeah, he really deserved that. He's not misunderstood. There's no song explaining what's wrong with this man. He just sucks. And that's nice to have in one of these big budget movies again. You know?
Yeah.
That's funny that you mentioned that. I always see I see these posts about like, can we just get a Disney villain who isn't a good person also? Like can I have that? Like I don't want to like this person anymore. Give me a Jafar. Give me and that's what Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor is.
Yeah.
Just a straight up bad guy. He's unlikable. And I mean, you know, billionaire tech CEO, maybe that's easy to make that character really unlikable. I don't know. But yeah, and I think like, regardless of how people feel about this movie, and we're going to get into some of the criticisms that are out there. I feel like it's been pretty universal praise for the cast. And even, let's talk now about kind of like one tier down, the supporting cast, right? We already mentioned kind of the other metahuman, the Justice Gang characters and Metamorpho, but also the Daily Planet characters, right? Perry White and Jimmy Olsen and everybody there, like, also pretty spot on. Yeah. But I don't know, what did you guys think about, like, which of those characters do you think were like, stole the scenes that they were in, or you're like, I can't wait to watch more of them?
I mean, Mr. Terrific, right? Mr. Terrific is so good in this movie, and for those of us who've been following comic book movies for a long time, we remember X-Men First Class. Yes. We remember when he played Darwin, a character who's not supposed to be able to be destroyed and is killed so quick.
Act 1,
and it's bullshit. And we've always known Eddie can do more. And hey, I loved our buddy Echo Kellum's take on Mr. Terrific and the Arrowverse. He's a friend of the channel. He's been on the Rockstars before. Shout out, name drop. We know you, Echo. And you were at our improv theater, and we love you. But I mean, Eddie just makes a character so iconic, and it's so good to see like a comic accurate but just like cool take on a character. Like this movie, I think some people could say lacks coolness and kind of does this whole wordplay with punk rock and what that means. I do think what what Superman does in this movie is cool, but for any people who don't agree with that, you cannot deny that Mr. Terrific is cool in this movie. He just brings the coolness in so many ways. I mean, it is very much a Jimmy Olsen movie in a surprising way. I really loved it. I love seeing Jimmy Olsen apply some journalistic research abilities. Most of the time, he's just getting the right
Speaking of
photograph.
Journalistic ethics, I feel like he's crossing some lines.
He definitely is.
There? Yeah.
Definitely is.
Okay.
Using a contact he calls
Lois is going to have some conversations with him later. Yeah.
But like Jimmy Olsen, it's if anything, what Jimmy Olsen is known for, just being in the right place at the right time and snapping the perfect photo. That's what Eve Teskmacher gets to do in this movie. She has the great camera work to get the important detail in frame. So Jimmy's almost like working in partnership with her to break this story wide open. I don't know. I really love the joke. I just think it's so funny that he's not even aware of like his own charms.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, I don't know why these women are throwing themselves at me.
He's got the Kavorka.
He's got something.
He's
got the Riz.
He's got metahuman level of Riz. I even love the tiny details, like on the photo on his desk, he has a girl on each arm, and like the two male girls are like checking him out, even though there's like 6'5" jacked Corin Sweat right there, but they're like, they only have eyes for
Can I just throw in a side note? The funniest details in this movie, and you'll see this in the Easter egg breakdown, are the photos that each person has on their desk. Because, like, yes, Jimmy's got this photo where he's backing with two girls. Steve Lombard has a photo of, like, the Jim Lee, like, Superman with the Gargoyle comic book cover on his desk. Lex Luthor has on his desk a framed photo of Mr. Handsome, the weird, creepy ferry boat guy inside the Pocket universe. Like, why does he have a framed photo of Mr. Handsome smiling on his desk? I don't know. That's, like, the one person he's had a connection with in his life. Like, obviously, Eve worshipped him.
Yeah.
I just think that's so funny that he's got that photo. The set decorators. I think everyone who worked in this movie just had a blast.
Yeah.
And just put their own kind of love into it.
It kind of comes through. Yeah, and like to that, there's already been a lot of people being like, we need a Mr. Terrific spinoff. If not a film, a series would be fun. And obviously, it feels like there's more in store for the Justice Gang in general. Their numbers are growing by the end of the film as they've kind of gotten metamorpho. Like, let's go ahead and talk about where do you think is the next time we might see them?
Well, Peacemaker season 2.
Yeah.
We know that from the trailer. I think they're going to have bigger futures even beyond that. I want to ask you guys: do you feel like this movie? Some of the comments we're seeing is that this movie's overstuffed. In my opinion, it's not that it's overstuffed, it's that every character on the call sheet is a proper noun from the comics. And that's not usually the case. When you normally watch something like Deadpool and Wolverine, there's other characters who are invented for the story. There's a Mr. Paradox, who I guess is a character from the comics. But there's just like, Deadpool and Wolverine's not the best example. But normally when you see a comic book adaptation, the screenwriter is just like, no, not everyone's going to be a thing. Some people are just going to be this character. I'm going to create my own character. James Gunn just pulled people from comics and filled every scene with something, but I think to some people they feel pressure if there's like a scene with like Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner. They're like, I don't know who these people are that well, and do I have to know them? Like, you don't. I think just like go of the fact that you in the past have had to know things. In this case, just appreciate the scene they're in, and the introduction they had in this movie is all you really need to know about them. So that's my defense against it. But I don't know. Did you feel that there were scenes where it's like there's just too much happening in this movie?
I mean, he's a guy with a ring that makes laser projections, and that's all you need with an awful haircut, as my wife said. She's like, oh my God, guy. But those things are small. I think that the first 25 minutes drops you into this fully formed world, and that might be a little intimidating for people because in the direct competition, the MCU, it's one corner of this that you have to know about in each project, as opposed to like the entire thing, unless it says the word Avengers on the box. And now you have to pay attention to everything. But since we're introducing the entire thing here, you're getting Justice Gang, you're getting Superman, you're getting Lex Luthor, you might be getting Bizarro and stuff, and then even Supergirl at the end, which, I mean, the pop that came out of the theater for that and freaking John Cena.
Yeah.
I was like, yo.
Yes.
Jenna said it earlier. She's like, I couldn't imagine a world where Peacemaker and people are like cheering.
Yeah.
5 years
Yeah,
ago?
the second he shows up.
Yeah, it didn't feel like Supergirl was a glub shido to me in the way that the way that Hercules felt at the end of Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, yes, it was setting up a future project, yes, but it was not in a post-credit scene. It was in the movie's runtime, and it answers big questions that we've seen throughout the movie. Why does Superman not get along with his dog that well? It's because it's not his dog. He's fostering this dog. He's babysitting this dog. That answers that question, then that resolves this thing that's happened throughout the movie. So I like that we got an answer. Also, it sets up questions of like, okay, is Kara bound by the same creepy Kryptonian agenda that Jor-El had in that message? Because I kind of now have all these questions, like her father is Zor-El, Jor-El's brother. Is the reason why Zor-El created Argo City's shield bubble that withstood the apocalyptic events on Krypton is because he had this beef with his brother who had this like creepy ambition, this idea
One's
of secret harem.
imperialist and one's not. Yeah.
This
Interesting.
birthright kind of angle. I'm fascinated to explore the Kryptonian culture in Supergirl next summer.
Do you think she also has like kind of a fritzy like quick video from her dad?
I think David Krumholtz is going to be in the movie. I think I think he will be alive during the events. Like, he's in the survival zone, right? He and his wife. I think they may be gone, but I think we'll see enough flashbacks with them. We'll get to know them, and I'm just fascinated. Like, it wasn't like a surprise the way Bradley Cooper was a surprise. Like, he's going to have a lot of lines in the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious to learn more about Krypton and learn more about clearly James Gunn built out the cosmic landscape of the MCU. And without James Gunn, we wouldn't have an Infinity Stone backstory. We wouldn't have Thanos like this. And James Gunn likes this kind of cosmic world building in ways that other superhero movie directors aren't really as good at. So I think he's going to apply that same ability to the DCU. It's not going to be just stories that exist in Gotham and in Metropolis and in Evergreen and the grounded landscape. Like, already in Peacemaker, we had a better Secret Invasion story than Secret Invasion was in Marvel, as having, the whole invasion of the Body Snatchers angle. Starro existed in the Suicide Squad. Now, Creature Commandos didn't have a whole lot of cosmic mythology. That kind of stayed grounded on Earth, but he clearly loves the idea of aliens and how their cultures are different than ours, and how Earth is not as significant in the broader cosmic landscape.
Eric, do you think we get Holt in season 2 of Creature Commandos now?
He needs to, right? He's been so cool. Like, but he hasn't been announced yet?
No. They haven't said anything about what the lineup is. They just had that tag at the end of the first one.
Maybe at Comic-Con in a couple weeks, that's like their big announcement, is that Mr. Terrific's going to be in Peacemaker.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is one panel we'll have, is a Peacemaker panel.
Okay. James Gunn's reboot of Superman has us all thinking about Superman's origins. Superman made his debut in Action Comics #1, one of the most impactful and valuable comics of all time. And now, you, me, anybody else can win one of their own, thanks to Yamava Resort and Casino. Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel is hands down the best casino in California and the only AAA 5-diamond casino hotel in the country. We took a New Rockstars content team retreat there recently and had a blast. We ate good. We partied. We did a little gambling. We sampled the spa, the pool, all of the facilities. They even have this rooftop lounge. Boy, you've not had a cocktail till you've gazed out over the hinterlands from the whatever floor of the Yamava Casino. It was excellent. And the hotel rooms are fantastic. The staff are very, very nice. And there's always so many awesome little side quests you could do. They have a big theater there where they get huge music and comedy acts come in and do shows. Like a little secret cigar lounge hidden. It's fun. And they have an Action Comics #1. A real one, guys, okay? One of the few that exists out there in the world. This is a graded, real copy of Action Comics #1, the first ever appearance of Superman. From now until August 5th, you have a chance to win your very own issue of Action Comics #1 by playing at Yamava Resort and Casino. You must be 21, and there's more details available at yamava.com/newrockstars. But there's really only one question you need to ask yourself. You in? Thank you so much to Yamava Resort Casino for sponsoring this video. Learn more and start planning your trip today by going to yamava.com/newrockstars or by clicking the link in the video description below. Thank you so much. I'm going to shout out a couple super chats here and other comments from the audience, but also let's get into some criticisms
let's
of
go
the
hard.
film here in a moment. So put a pin in that. Shout out to MCBBY, MC Baby. If I'm adding in vowels with a super chat, only 2 gripes. Proton River and Mr. Terrific scene reminded me a little too much of Yondu's Arrow. Oh, because he has his things jumping around?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's working a lot harder than Yondu was working in those scenes. He barely moved while his arrow did all the... Whereas he's still punching and kicking and jumping. Okay. Solid 8 out of 10. Great story. Thank you, MCBBY. And then Floyd Rogers with a super chat. Easily the best Superman movie ever, and I'm a diehard Snyder and Henry Cavill fan. Wow.
Hey, yo.
Hey, thanks for being honest. Unless you're one of the paid gun shills.
Can you confirm, are you a capuchin monkey at a keyboard right now?
One of the other sides. Okay, so like the implication is that the Snyder cultists are monkey bots. What are the gun cultists on the other side? You know, that in the fan fiction that's being written online about the DCEU being extended.
Let's start getting into... Some people could view some of these things as good qualities. You enjoyed these. Some people could view these as maybe negative qualities. There's a lot of real life that seeped into this film in different ways. Obviously, a big one is the international conflict at the kind of core of this film between the two fictional countries. That would not be hard to draw a very direct parallel to real life conflicts here on Earth 616.
Okay, so I can see why people watching this movie might see that connection. My take is that James Gunn did not intend on that being an analog of what's happening right now in Gaza. I just don't think that he intended it.
I disagree with you. Even though this movie was written probably 2-3 years ago, right, and the world has evolved, that particular conflict has been going for decades.
Sure.
I feel like
I just think there's so many other examples, and it's in Europe. It's not in the Middle East.
Well, here's what I'll say. One of the countries is a European-coded U.S.-backed militarized country. The other country is like a less developed country of brown folks. Regardless of what his intention was, it's not that hard to see those scenes and to jump to some
I
pretty
just
short
didn't see
conclusions.
Vasil Gurkos as like a Netanyahu character. He struck me as like a former Russian state, like, like Georgia or a Baltic state or something like that.
Sure.
I got Eastern European. I totally get how people may be watching this and see a connection. And I'm trying to think of like when Gunn wrote this script. Like, I believe he was writing it in spring and summer of 2023. It was before October. So I don't think that but they did shoot it. They did shoot it afterwards. They shot this in summer of 2024. So I don't know. I think it's possible. I just didn't.
Regardless of the intention, does that impact your viewing of the movie?
I think it will impact a lot of people's viewings of it. I think it's undeniable. And movies come out, and the truth, despite authorial intent, the truth of a film is decided by the viewers. So I'll lend that.
I think the part where it wasn't even just so much the actual conflict that was going on. I think the lines where Clark was in the apartment with Lois and he kept reiterating over and over again, that's not what this is.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. I think that's the part where people are going to be like, okay.
Right, I think that's
the part where
that's
I think
fair.
yeah.
And again, in my viewing of it, I didn't take any of that as a negative thing. And in fact, I'm like, the balls on this guy.
Yeah.
Right? These are hot button issues to be inserting into your popcorn movie, right? Like, I feel like a different writer director who is not also the head of their studio might not have been empowered to do some of these things, or might not have been allowed, right? You would have gotten these notes of like, ooh, don't touch that, right? Even the monkey gag, which is a silly kind of gag, but it also has a corollary to James Gunn's real life getting canceled for some old tweets, right? Like, even that is like something that you might not have seen somebody else put into their superhero movie, right?
I felt like he got like Superman. I mean, like Simpsons writered. Like, it's like an Al Jean thing where it's like we made a joke about like a sickness overseas from 25 years ago, and then you wake up one morning and you're like, what just happened? Oh God! But yeah, people are gonna read into it, so that's what it ends up being, right? We like Eric said, a very scholarly definition, but like what the viewer intones from text is what it ends up being. And I think that there's no way to watch this movie in this year without thinking about those issues.
Yeah, you mentioned a Simpsons gag. It's also like, it was the best of times, it was the blessed of times. You idiot! Like the monkeys on typewriters. That was like. But what's the origin of that is like, who said it was like if you put 1,000 monkeys on typewriters over a certain amount of time, they will write Shakespeare eventually. So Gunn is kind of saying all these mean tweets amount to the Shakespeare of our times, by having all these bot monkeys. Is that what, you have to know the origin of the monkeys on typewriters. Like, it's not that they're dumb, it's that human beings are dumb if eventually the collective input of our amassed writing will become Shakespeare.
And again, I love Simpsons bits, but let's get back to
You're the one who brought up the monkeys.
Really dark and political things. I mean, then there's also Molly from Molly, and seemingly one of the only characters that is killed in this film, and very graphically, right, like brutally, as a kind of as a motivator for our hero. Poor little guy gets killed nonsensically. I mean, and even the shadow government detaining people, contractors being hired. There's some Palantir, Black Ops kind of vibes going around Luthor Corp.
I was disturbed really by the scene at Luthor Corp when just this guy helps Superman out of a crater. He's not doing anything. Any kind person would go help someone who fell into a crater, just get to their feet.
I mean, they did have a history together.
He said, I gave you a free falafel. You helped me out. I gave you a free falafel. His drones do a facial capture scan to figure out who he is and what his name is. That creeped me out because I think that was definitely a message by James Gunn of the way, after the Patriot Act, they're using facial recognition software to identify people and put them on a list. And the list he puts them on is a way to get at Superman, because Superman has no known loved ones otherwise, just people he's helped. And that's just so craven. That's why I think Lex Luthor is so scary in this movie, is he is so despicable and diabolical.
just like in our real world, the only thing I care about is Superman. Y'all, the rest of y'all are collateral damage.
Yeah.
And that's like totally in our world. It's like, I'm not even after y'all. If y'all lives get ruined, I have to crack a couple eggs and make an omelet, which is terrible.
On that note, Nona in the sending the super chat, getting killed for giving food to Superman is crazy.
Yeah.
Agreed, Nona. Lex slowly crashing out was fun to see. I need Mr. Terrific movie. Metamorpho baby is so cute. I disagree with you on the last part. Metamorpho baby was weird, and I joked it looked more like a Cabbage Patch Kid than an actual kid. But that even might have been, if it was like a human-looking baby, that's too heavy to see that human-looking baby in peril, getting sucked into the Proton River or whatever.
Oh, so we're okay seeing a big-headed green baby.
Yeah. It looked like, it looked like a everlasting gobstopper with legs or something like that. Yeah. A couple other super chats here from a second one from Nona. Also, why the engineer hates Superman so much? Great. This is a nice pivot into. I loved this film. I have so few gripes with it. Way fewer gripes than I have with most movies. One of my gripes. The engineer character, which I thought was pretty cool and did some cool stuff, had, I think, though, the single worst line of dialogue in this movie. When they're in the Fortress of Solitude, and she says to Lex, I sacrificed my humanity for that.
She didn't say it like that.
It was worse than that.
It might have been worse than that, actually.
It's also, nobody in the history of the world has organically said, I sacrificed my humanity. It's just like, and again, I think this isn't a movie with great performances top to bottom, great dialogue, the dialogue's well delivered. And I don't know that actress's work, and I thought she was otherwise very good in this movie. That just is a really clunky line for anybody to deliver.
But that line also set up the rest of her character for the rest of the movie, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, you sacrificed your humanity, whatever that means, and then the rest of the movie after that, I'm trying to figure out why she doesn't like Superman so much. That's the only thing I kept trying to figure out. I'm like, did Lex really just get in her head that much, or does she have a reason to not like Superman? And that was honestly one of two things in the movie that I actually did have a problem with.
Yeah. Yeah, I just have questions.
What was the other thing you had a problem with?
The other thing I had a problem with was the movie as a whole. You never really felt like there was a moment where there was actual peril. That was the moment where I felt like I don't know if that's the right word that I'm using, but it felt like there was never a moment in the movie where there was you thought there was an actual chance that there would be loss.
That like a character we really cared about might not make it.
I disagree. I think the nanite crawling in his mouth, going in his eye. I know Superman's not going to die in this movie, but I felt in that moment that he was going to suffocate.
Yeah. I get that, but just like you said, I knew that wasn't going to happen. I knew he was going to figure out a way to get out of there, but not even just him. The other major characters in the movie, and obviously I'm not trying to see Lois die in this movie or Jimmy or any, but I still just felt like there was never a moment where, and I'm okay with that because I actually love the way that they set this movie up to be kind of like the more fun, entertaining, getting the fans back in, and they're setting up storylines without really setting up storylines, but it's just more of a fun movie, but I still wanted that little tiny bit of peril in there, and I just never really felt it.
And maybe part of that is the downside of I love opening with a beat up Superman.
Yeah.
Right? Who has to be dragged to the fortress by his dog. I love that. But because we've seen him knocked out, already beat up, then later when he's fighting Ultraman or whatever, you're like, okay, well, we've kind of already seen this. Whereas those are the first times we saw him bleed, or we're really worried about it. Maybe that would have more weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I rewatching even something like Captain America: Brave New World, a movie I did not like as much as I like Superman. There was at least a moment where Red Hulk is ripping off his armor and he's got Anthony Mackie's head in his hand.
Yeah.
For a second I got scared. He's gonna pop his head. Yeah. Oh God, it's gonna be like The Boys. Whereas you're right, I never really felt it here. It's just the heroes were going to be okay. Mm-hmm. But I honestly feel like that's how you kind of should feel watching a Superman movie. Superman should take care of us and feel like the only one we're worried about is him, you know? And I think really what this movie did really well, and it's hard to do this, is keep the stakes crucial, make you worry, and feel terrified, but not threaten the entire world's existence. And like, the worst thing that could have happened in this movie is that Superman could have died, or that, I guess, a rift did open, but ultimately at any point Lex could have stopped that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he would have eventually. It was just Lex would have gotten away with it, would have been the worst thing, and there would have been some major property damage and some deaths, but it wouldn't have been like the entire world was going to be destroyed or half the universe was going to be destroyed. But we cared so much about Superman not letting Lex get away with it that it felt so satisfying when Krypto was ragdolling him around. What was more satisfying to you? Krypto ragdolling Lex or Hulk ragdolling Loki?
Okay, so that's I knew when you said that, that's exactly what I thought of. And I was like, seeing him just throw Lex around like that was the best thing. I mean, like, even in retrospect, because Loki, you know, redeems himself and all that stuff, but just watching this dog fly in and be like, shut the F up, and just like throws him all over the place. That was a phenomenal scene.
There was a catharsis I haven't felt in a while seeing a villain get theirs, right? Like, it did feel really good.
Because you know it couldn't be Superman to do it. That's the thing.
Right.
So,
I was about to say, like, you brought up Brave New World. I'm like, is he gonna Naruto speech Lex Luthor away? Is that all he's gonna have happen to him? And then he gets like ragged on. Like, okay, there we go. Somebody needs to physically touch him a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, I think what ultimately I was just at a different point in my life when I saw Hulk smash Loki, so I think that will always be the moment in my head, just because it was like we wanted to see Hulk smash in that movie, and it was really fun to see Tom Hiddleston get whacked around like that. Whereas Krypto, like, this moment wouldn't have worked without seeing Hulk smash Loki, just because it was almost a spin on that. It was a smaller dog that had superpowers, who got like horribly covered in this, like, muzzled in this awful way in the Fortress of Solitude. So it was a full arc for him. Also, like, it really, the climax of the scene was Superman's speech to Lex. Lex had this great monologue that I think was actually a better written monologue. It was a bit campy, but I thought it was actually really interesting. It was like, a lot of the Snyder bros are like, oh, but look at what Jesse Eisenberg, look at this line for him, you know, talking about angels being thrown down from heaven. I think Lex's speech in this movie was better than anything that Terrio wrote for Jesse Eisenberg's Lex. Come at me. But I think he gave his speech. Superman gets to go there and give his speech, and it's just kind of this James Gunn, kind of authentic. I almost call it like emotional gushing. It's not like the best written speech in the world, but it works for us. It's a Rudy speech. It really rallies us, and I think it perfectly sums up the frustration he's been feeling all movie. He's fighting for his soul, his reputation, and just like he's fighting for goodness as a concept. And I really liked that, and it worked for me. And then for a second, it felt like Lex was gonna deliver a better written, smarter speech. And I was like, oh no, because Lex is a better speech giver and a better speech writer. And Krypto is like, no, smart ass. I'm not gonna let you take this moment from him. And he lets Superman have the rhetorical win. And I think that's why it felt so cathartic to me.
Do you think, 100% agree on all that, but do you think the impact of Krypto having that moment is lessened a little bit because Krypto had a lot of moments in this movie? He had a bunch of jump in and help. Even he had just come from biting all of the little drones that are helping the Ultraman fight, right? Like, he'd already that was kind of his big, saves the day moment. And so
but I also, and may just be me, if you disagree, that's completely okay. It's always okay. Krypto, to me, is a representative of a version of Superman that was lost in pretty much my entire lifetime of seeing Superman movies. Even like Richard Donner felt like it wasn't until 1986 when DC is like, no more Krypto, no more Superboy stuff. We're post-crisis. We're gonna simplify all this stuff. We're gonna get away all the comic book goofy shit. No more Bizarro Hatre shit. And so, like, growing up, Krypto wasn't really part of the canon, and it wasn't until recently when people were like, no, there's something wonderful about Krypto. So the fact that Krypto is even in this movie is kind of a victory, and it's telling part of the story of what Superman represents, which is like, he's an alien who has all the trappings of shit that we have to go through, of like, you have to dog sit a really awful dog sometimes. And it maybe would have been a step too far if Krypto had speech bubbles, because Krypto does have speech bubbles. He's smart as hell. He's as smart as a person is. He can kind of talk. Now, he talks in kind of the way dogs see the world, but he does his speech bubbles or thought bubbles. We didn't get that in this movie, and that's fine. And James Gunn did do that with Cosmo. He gave Cosmo a speech collar, and I wasn't crazy about that in Guardians Volume 3, just because it was like Maria Bakalova, and it was funny, but it wasn't like, let a dog be a dog. Don't make a dog a person. And so Krypto was still very dog-like, and I liked it for me as like, this is a part of the world of Superman that now gets to be on screen. So anytime Krypto did something, to me it was like the Superman I've been dying to see is doing something.
Can I say one thing about the Krypto thing that I just kind of put together? His presence in this movie makes me super confident that whatever Brave and the Bold is going to do right by Robin for the first time ever in live action.
Yes.
Like, there are these things that all screenwriters, all directors are really afraid of. They think that Robin and some of the Bat Family stuff and Ace are too hokey to exist. Damien's pet cow, other fun stuff, like delightful things. But he doesn't seem to be afraid of any of that. He feels like he's going to go in head first. Damien's going to be a little jerk. It's going to be like, why do you have this kid running around in red and yellow getting bullet shot at him? And he's going to be like, it makes sense. That's my son.
Yeah. I think James Gunn is like the first director who has control over his franchise, first studio head who is not afraid of making a mistake in a comic book movie. Richard Donner didn't grow up reading these comics. He knew them later on. Tim Burton only knew certain things about the comics. They all made these movies that made sense in the cinematic language they wanted to see, but like didn't know the comics well enough truly to adapt a comic book world to the screen. Kevin Feige has understood it better than anyone and understood how to adapt it better than anyone. But ultimately, the adaptation is what he's been a master at. Not like Kevin Feige read the comics when he was in his 20s while he was already working in film. Zack Snyder, Christopher Nolan, all these guys are good filmmakers who did great jobs, and I'm grateful for all of them. But I think they've all been afraid of putting too many Easter eggs, too many comic booky things in their films.
Well,
and James Gunn doesn't have that fear.
None of them built an empire around a talking raccoon and a talking tree. You know what I mean?
James
Like
Gunn
you're
has made a lot of
emboldened.
mistakes.
If you've had that, if you've sold 1 gazillion lunchboxes with a talking tree on them, right? You're emboldened to do a super dog, right? Like. Above anybody else, certainly. A couple of super chats here I want to call out. Josh Howard saying, this is our first mention of Ma and Pa Kent. I like that Clark's dad is still around helping him choose to serve the people versus taking the message from his birth parents. I think it's important to see him make the choice himself. I want to talk about the video montage he's watching to bliss out there at the end. And then another super chat from Floyd Rogers. Do you think Lex Luthor was being cheeky when he said he might kill Clark Kent next? Or do you think he was being serious and he doesn't know Superman is Clark because of the hypno glasses?
I don't think he's being cheeky. I think he really doesn't know.
Yeah.
And that just happens to be the one name he decided to throw out in that moment.
Yeah.
Because he knows, because he does know that Clark Kent has some kind of a relationship with Superman.
From reading
interviews him all
the media,
time.
yeah.
That makes sense.
I didn't know how we were supposed to feel by that. Was that like we were supposed to feel like a relief? Like, he still doesn't know Ma and Pa Kent? Because I think if he did know, he would have put them in the Pocket Universe, you know?
Yes.
When he asked who raised you as a child, he really is trying to get an answer out of that. I like the detail that when we're on the Kent farm and they watch the footage of Bravia invading Jahanpur, it's a Luthor Court brand TV. So like he is searching the earth trying to find these foster parents, and like his consumer product is in their home. It's just funny. It'd be like if Elon Musk was trying to kill someone and then he can't find them and then they have a Tesla. So, I think it'd be fun.
Just talking about Clark and Superman Secret Identity, just finding out that he just tells everybody. He's so trusting of everybody. That was one of the funniest scenes is when they were like, Lois is like, does he tell everybody this? Like, come on.
Let's talk a little bit more about the Justice Gang. Speaking of them, I thought that they really worked.
Yeah.
Now some of this is it's just 3 characters. We're not needing to meet like a bigger team, and like they have 3 pretty distinct personalities, right? Guy Gardner is a buffoonish jerkhead, right? Mr. Terrific, as we've already talked about, is a cool customer who's the world's smartest man, and then Hawk Girl is kind of also like a puckish,
TikToker.
What's that?
TikToker.
Yeah, right. Certainly coded as such, right? Who washes her hair? The one other personal detail we learned about her. Any other thoughts on like the Justice Gang crew?
I'm looking forward to learning more about them. I think most of what I know, I think you can leave this movie without really knowing much about Hawkgirl, and I wish that we learned a bit more. We got to just because Isabella Merced is such a star, like she's gonna have a huge future ahead of her. Even we're not clear totally. We're pretty sure she's the Kendra Saunders Hawkgirl, the 1999 reintroduction of her. But there's she's also said that she's the reincarnated form of an alien, which Kendra Saunders is not. She's not Thanagarian. Her tech is, but she is not the soul of an alien. She's the soul of a relative by.
And you're saying they've said this in the press.
Isabella Merced.
This is not context.
Isabella Merced has said this in interviews. Now she may just be she clearly knows her comics, so that's why I'm saying she didn't misspeak. She knows, she's read all this stuff. So I think James Gunn is doing something slightly different with the character. It's not a straight up adaptation of the 1999 one. I think he's bringing in some alien mythology, more alien mythology than that version of Hawkgirl does. I don't think it's going to be a bad thing. I think he's still going to embrace everything that was great about the Kendra version of the character. But I wish that we got more of her in the movie. I think that she does some really cool shit. And what's going to be the consequences of her killing
That's what I was
President Gurkos?
We don't. Well, to be fair, she drops him from a really high height. We don't know that he's dead. He could have landed right in a swimming pool or something like that. It's easy to assume he's dead. I also love that guy. Did you see Triangle of Sadness, that movie from a couple years ago? He played a rich European guy who gets shipwrecked in that movie.
He plays
he was the Russian guy in
2012.
Yes, yeah.
He's the one who throws his kids and goes, oh, and throws them up onto the ark, and he sacrifices.
I was like, why does this guy's voice sound so familiar with the crazy strangled hair?
James Gunn lets him do some weird shit. He goes, it's fun, baby, in the track.
James Gunn loves a unique looking character actor. He's very fun. Again, the depth of the cast, right? Even characters like that are tertiary, only has a couple scenes, but still get their little fun bits in.
Yeah. I like the Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner was actually, out of the three, obviously Mr. Terrific, he just stole the show, but Guy Gardner, his relationship with Superman, even when he threatened him, it was this is why the Lantern Corps sent me here, and you're no, it's not. That's not why. You have no idea why they sent you there. But I can't wait to see more of that. Even the way he used the ring, he used his powers throughout. It was very much Guy Gardner throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And so I can't wait to see more of the Lantern Corps in the future, if that's the direction they're going. They're really going to put their personality into it. And even just hearing him talking about things that he wants to create, and he's I could just do this right now. And I don't know why I haven't done it yet. And then he's I put oven mitts on him. What do you mean? That was the coolest thing ever. So I can't wait to see more of these lanterns show up in the future.
And Aaron Pierre says that it could be early 2026. I thought it was going to be summer 2026.
The Lantern show.
The Lantern show. So Aaron Pierre's playing Jon Stewart. Kyle Chandler's playing Hal Jordan. We've seen one photo of them. It's been described as a true detective type story.
Which could not be further from the tone of Guy Gardner.
How is Guy Gardner going to fit in that? Well, Damon Lindelof is executive producer for it. He's written a huge show Bible for it. Damon Lindelof recently did Watchmen for HBO. So imagine a Watchmen style world where there's some kind of investigation mystery that they're going into. I still think Guy Gardner from this movie does not fit in that show. I don't know how that works, but it's going to be TVMA. It's HBO.
Maybe he shows up in the Green Lantern break room and just, he's kind of the asshole over in the corner with a couple quick remarks, but
Does he get killed off? Is it his death? Is he the death at the beginning of the show that they're investigating?
Wow. No. Okay, well, as we kind of head the home stretch here, any other, and we don't have to offer criticisms, but anything else that you didn't enjoy or that might have taken you out of it in the film?
I think I liked what they did with the music in this movie, from how it sampled the John Williams anthem. I loved the Lex Luthor theme. I do think that I would have loved a new Superman march that sounds like it fits Superman, but is not a derivative of the John Williams theme. I also think I would have liked if James Gunn actually stuck to not using any pop culture music, and he still did. He used this song in the Mr. Terrific sequence, and he didn't need to do it. He used, and it felt very like a new version of Come a Little Bit Closer, as like Yondu is killing Guardians Volume 2.
Purposely used less popular. Like all of the needle drops in the Guardians movies are like kind of pretty famous and recognizable. And I feel like he went out of his way to use like more obscure pop music.
He
than this.
didn't use any, like he used the Punk Rocker song, which is like an early aughts song, but it's still a little on the nose. And maybe I'm just like a cynical kind of old man watching movies. But like I felt like, okay, I get punk rock, but I think I loved Corn Sweat's read on like maybe that's the real punk rock. Like it's a little corny, but it worked in that scene. I think that might have been my favorite scene in the movie. It's just the big dimensional imp being killed in the windows while Lois and Superman are talking. I just thought it was a beautiful scene, great dialogue, and captured both of these characters so well. And I like that punk rock line. But to have like, I'm a punk rocker, I guess I am. Like at the end, I was like, I would have loved just score, because the movie almost could have ended in the Cleveland arcade with Superman and Lois just floating, kissing, because that shot was so stunning.
I thought that's
and the
where it was
music
going
so
to
good.
end, honestly. Yeah.
Could have cut to black. Now I get it's a comic book movie. It has to have some kind of falling action in that moment. And if you want to end in the Fortress of Solitude, like where we began the movie, there's some nice like book ending there. But I just like the way the music interacted with the visuals in the Cleveland arcade. And I just thought everything about that shot was just perfect. It was almost like Spielberg's final shot of Fableman perfect, you know? Like, and then so just, I did love the home movies, and I cried when that happened, so I'm not disappointed by this movie's ending. And the fact that like it ends with the yellow sunlight enveloping him, and how in the earlier scene he screamed when the sunlight hit him, and now he just smiles. He's not as wounded as he was, but like he finally got the right parental message that he needed to hear to soothe him, and I just thought that was a beautiful way to end the movie. So I just didn't need that music. I thought the music was more for the masses and not like the artistic choice. So that's my gripe, and if
Pretty
all
minor.
of you disagree, it's okay.
Pretty minor gripe. Yeah.
Go.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, when they say that, like, the inmates are basically running the asylum now because metahumans make the rules. I'm like, but do they though? You guys have already proved you've been getting gamed so easily by these machinations this entire time. Like, what's to stop someone else from getting a tribe of monkeys and getting y'all to do something else stupid? You know what I mean? Although we know we're gonna see Rick Flag later in Creature Commando season 2, and probably throughout the rest of this.
And in
stuff.
Peacemaker season
too.
2,
Yeah.
Why does Frank Grillo look different in live action than he did in animation? James Gunn keeps skirting the question. He goes, I've said they can look different. It's like, why did you make him a jacked guy with a white beard and white hair who has very visceral sex with a skinny blonde
that
woman?
was because Frank Grillo's like, listen, I'm dyeing my hair. I don't care how you drew me. I don't want to be gray-headed or whatever. Yeah.
Just saying. We see what you're doing.
I think I don't really have any gripes. I want to go back to the Supergirl thing that you mentioned earlier, and I actually think it would be interesting if the reason why she's like going out and like, you know, obviously she was a little bit drunk at the end of that movie. If the reason why she is going out and partying so much is because she's struggling with that message that Clark got, but she also has that same message, and she's struggling with, do I go down this road or do I not? And so I thought about that at the end of the movie, and then when you brought it up, I just remembered it. And so I think that would be a really cool direction to go in. I don't know how they would do that necessarily to really get like the cosmic feel of it, because I feel like that's the direction that they're going to go in, is like more of a cosmic feel for this movie. But that was, I was just wanting to go back to that because I just thought of it. But as far as like any other criticisms, I didn't really have any issues. I love the post-credit scene. I love that they didn't set it up so it was another movie that they were setting up. Yeah. It was just a funny interaction between the two of them, and it just gave me more Mr. Terrific. Like, honestly, it really did. Yeah.
Seeing him kick that piece of rubble was so funny.
He was so frustrated by the end. He's like, I'm done with these people, man. Get me out of here. Like, so I loved it. I will say, I tweeted out something this morning, or maybe it was on Threads or something, and I just said I went in with no expectations of this movie. Like, I just wanted to have a really good movie, smile coming out. And I did. I was entertained, and I smiled when I came out, but I had this thing in my head that I saw earlier this week. Someone else got to see it before I did. And they were like, I hope you like Guardians of the Galaxy. And I was like, so that kind of stuck with me when I was watching it. And as I'm watching it, I was like, okay, this actually is kind of like, you can feel James Gunn's like, Guardians in this movie. So as far as like the score and the music and everything that you were mentioning, it was very much along those lines. Maybe not as mainstream music, but I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I hope it does very well because I want to see more of Corin Swint, and I mean, obviously we're going to. My biggest thing going into the sequels, these next movies, is like, what kind of Batman are they going to pick to go with this Superman? Because I want to see a good interaction between the two of them, and I don't need to see like a Snyder verse, kind of like just beating each other up. I want to see like, can these two get along and find their similarities while they have these differences and how they deal with like these conflicts.
Yeah. I want to see how Batman's smarter than Superman. It was fun to see Lex be smarter than Superman. And at some point, Superman's like brain over brawn, and he figures out a way around it. But Lex is still smarter at the end of the day, and I think Batman needs to be smarter than Superman.
Yes.
Yeah, and like David Corin Sweat, in addition to being just great in this role, like clearly has fun chemistry with multiple other characters in this movie. So like, what kind of chemistry can he have with whoever that Batman might be? James Gunn has done some weird stuff in the press where he's like left the door cracked just a little bit that Robert Pattinson could somehow inhabit the same space as his Superman. Feels like it's not likely, but I'll say I loved this movie. More than a lot of the, if not all of the recent Marvel output. Not hard to beat all of the recent DC output. My little quibble, and I am a stickler for dialogue. I already mentioned the one line from the engineer. There's another couple sequences, and it's a challenge of all these films is they have to deliver all this exposition. But like in particular, there's something as the Daily Planet crew is like boarding the Mr. Terrific ship as they're like about to get away, and like they're like furiously trying to like type up the story of Lex's corruption, and like Perry is going back and forth with Jimmy and Lois. Like there was some really heavy-handed exposition there. So what you're saying is that Lex funded the and just like recapping the information that we already knew. Now maybe that is how newspaper editors talk by default. I don't know, but it was like, ooh, there could have just a little tweak there, and that would have felt a little bit more natural for me. There's just a few of those, and again, often when I watch movies, there's like dozens of those lines that take me out of the moment, and I'm like, ooh, that was a little clunky. And there's only a few in this, so even if that's my biggest gripe, it is a tiny one. So overall, I thought the movie moved. It was fun. The moments where I needed to feel something, it made me feel that. The moments where it wanted me to have fun, I had fun.
We do need to have more time with like Clark in the newsroom.
Yeah.
Like there is a joke in the Richard Donner Superman, like how did Clark become a reporter? He's like the fastest typist like that I've ever seen. So that's just kind of a whatever joke. But like you don't get to be as good. Everyone in the Daily Planet newsroom was good at their jobs. Like Steve Lombard even has strong takes about letting the sentence be the modifier. Cat Grant knows what chitlin is. Like that is like, everyone is good. Perry White is kind of like a discerning copy chief, Jimmy Olsen is doing half of the research for this story. That's really cool to see. The worst reporter at the Daily Planet is Clark Kent, and he's getting multiple front page stories. Like, it's sweet to see the Molly tribute make the front page of the Daily Planet. That would never happen on the New York Times. You wouldn't see a front page story that's just like a tribute from one falafel salesman. You'd see it below the fold, maybe. You'd see it on, page 8, but you would not see it on the front page.
But I think that's why
I know I'm overly obsessive over
No,
this.
you're right. But I think that's also why the way Lois jumps in on Clark, I think I think she's got some like underlying, like, how did you get this job? Like, you don't deserve this job, honestly. Even though she like loves him and everything, she's like, you can't honestly go out and like continue to keep interviewing yourself over and over again.
Right.
You have to turn yourself into an actual real reporter here at some point.
And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying this is a flaw of the movie. It's just the movie decided not to show this, and I would love to see future titles explore it more, maybe in A World's Finest Story. Is like, I think the reason why Clark Kent is a good reporter is like he's resourceful and he's empathetic. Like he will talk to anyone. And I think you have to be kind of a warrior as a reporter, and you have to have like an empathy, and you have to go find someone who is like going through something and ask them the right questions to get them to tell their story. And I think Superman loves doing that. And that kind of truth is part of his truth, justice, in the American way. And I think we didn't get to see that much in this movie. He was kind of presented as almost like a Stephen Glass figure, as someone who's like,
whoa, you think
kind
he's a
of
fabricator? You think he's inventing quotes? I mean,
Well,
they're his
he
own
is.
quotes.
They're his own quotes,
But
and
they're
that's-
him.
that's dishonest.
Here's
Yeah.
why I'll go out on a limb and disagree with Eric that if in order to keep this movie tight and moving fast, if the thing we miss out is him like doing shoe leather reporting, I think that's a worthy thing.
Agreed. I completely agree with that. Yeah.
A couple of other super chats here. Ari sending in a good one. Do you think Gunn's aversion to colon titles, right? This was originally going to be Superman Legacy,
Yeah.
Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, or whatever. Do you think that will stick? I kind of hope it changes how DC movies are structured, like Superman and Lois or World's Finest, where Lois is just as important or it's more of an ensemble. So as opposed to like Superman Returns or something like that, do we get Superman 2?
Yes.
Or do you think it's called World's Finest or Superman and Lois or something like that?
I think he does the numbering system, and I'm dying to see how long he can keep it up. Because I think eventually he's going to be under pressure to be like, really, we're going to do World's Finest 4? Like, that's going to be weird. But eventually, like, I think he can. I think for the next 15 years, he can do it. We had Iron Man 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
With Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, 2,
That's
3.
right. It did volume, but yeah, they were just numbered.
I think there's ways he can do it without having to do the colon, because I think he is right that's like, I mean, that's how the Batman movies did it in the 90s. That's how the MCU mostly has done it, other than the examples I just gave.
Yeah, because Multiverse of Madness or Love and Thunder or whatever, right?
But I think he's not wrong that's contributed to, he has not said it's contributed to superhero fatigue, but I believe it has. I think it's just made it feel like homework for people.
But no, don't you think that a number makes it feel more like homework? Because if I see on the marquee at the AMC Superman 4, am I less likely to go see that than if it's called Superman Funtown or whatever?
Less likely, depends. But I do think it's easier to keep track. Ask the people who've been following the Scream franchise. I think it's easier for them to remember whether that was Scream 4 or Scream 2 when something happens, because it's easier to remember a number than it is Far From Home versus No Way Home. I think we're close to it because this is our bread and butter. But I just think for a lot of people that goes over their head. But people know, like Bart Simpson knows the difference between Rocky 2 and Rocky V. And he goes, Rocky 2 plus Rocky V equals Rocky 7, Adrian's Revenge. Like, that is like, I think for a lot of people,
Too many Simpsons references in this episode.
I'll be honest,
Breakroom,
listen,
maybe.
with 6 kids, when I see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, sometimes I confuse it with Spider-Man. What's the other one?
Across the Spider-Man.
And so I'm like, wait, which one is which? And I'm like, so.
And the live action ones that I'll use home, I get those confused all the time, even though I know what the order is. Yeah. No, I hear that.
I think you should start with numbers and get as far as you can with numbers, and then when it feels right, you can do it. But like, ultimately, you can just team up people. You can do a Batman & Superman. You don't have to call it World's Finest.
I just always
Batman and
thought
Superman.
after the third one is when it feels like a right time to start doing it there.
bet.
After the third one.
And that's maybe when you've already been fired or you need to recast or
I think
whatever.
they do that out of fear. They do it out of fear of embarrassment. Like, we can't do a something 4. We can't do a something 6. But
that's
you
the-
can. People know that you're doing it, and now you're just making it kind of confusing by calling it something like colon whatever, Dominion.
No, we better not tell Vin Diesel that.
Yeah, they love putting those fast
A number
movies.
behind.
I'm not
They
going to tell
find-
him anything.
They find
He's
fun
my
ways
boss.
they find fun ways to use the numbers, right? They just make it Fast 5 or The Fast and
Fast.
the Furious.
And they're
Fast
better
X,
when they have the
Fast
number
X,
in it, and it's
yeah.
clearly like Fast. Like, I think that franchise is a good example. People can. It's easier to remember Fast 5 versus Furious 7. I think, and they should just call it Fast and Furious 5. Fast and Furious 6.
I can't wait till Superman X, whatever character, but it's the 10th Superman movie.
Like Marvel would be, they did get around it by using comics crossover events titles. So like Age of Ultron, unfortunately it didn't live up to Age of Ultron. Civil War didn't really live up to Civil War. So I think you can do that if the event title is as big as the character name. And we'll see if we do get a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie, I think you should just call it Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yeah, not even need the subtitle or the prefix of Superman or whatever.
I'm still mad that Vin Diesel didn't call the 10th Fast and Furious Fasten Your Seatbelt. Fast 10.
Woo!
This is what you can expect if you follow Fidencio.
Follow
It is
Fidencio on
gems
Instagram.
like this.
He's he's the king of dad jokes. He makes a lot of content around dad jokes. Embracing that. Thank you. That's a good place to wrap up. Yeah. None of us are going to top that. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, everybody watching. If you're watching this after having seen the movie, maybe you're watching this on YouTube as a video on demand, leave a comment on what your big takeaway was. How hype was your theater? Mine was incredible. Every seat was filled, people in costume, multiple applause breaks. It was great. I haven't had an in-theater experience quite that good in a while. It was really nice to watch it with a really engaged, really happy audience. Let us know what yours was like. Were you watching a cam on your phone? Or were you in, you know what I mean?
Cam on your phone?
No, I mean, like, that's how you consume, you know what I mean? You're downloading it from an illegal.
But on your phone? That's impressive.
Yeah.
What software? I don't have QuickTime.
I don't know. I was just throwing out a joke about the worst possible way to watch this movie.
Watching it on my
Clearly-
a cam on my Delta flight back of seat screen.
Yeah, are you watching it on a plane? That's how I've consumed the entire Venom franchise.
With the one expat watermark floating across, pinging across.
Thank you so much for watching. Oh, check out both nerdriot.shop. We've got some Superman-inspired merch, including Eric's
Doghouse of Solitude.
And even, you know, speaking of the next big property coming out, we got a Galactus shirt up there too. And then I'm actually wearing a shirt from our friends at another company, Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat. They make, this was a collab shirt we did with them that's got a fun kind of Superman-inspired graphic on the back. It's not even out yet, so you can't even buy this. So buy the other shirts instead, but this will be out soon. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Breakroom. Also, we'll have graphics on screen for where people can follow you, but where should they find you?
Fit that CEO and on every platform. Yeah.
Absolutely, if you're not already. And Aaron, where should people find you?
It's at Summer Lake Hornet on all platforms and at Phase Hero
Phase
with
Hero.
Brandon Davis and Jenna Anderson and Jamie Dirac, who say thank you guys so much for spotlighting us too.
Yes!
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, Phase Hero is the best. It is so fun, and I really loved you guys' stream earlier for Superman and earlier this week. It's just so cool that you guys are doing this, and I love all four of you
Yeah,
guys.
great content. If you haven't already checked that out, go give them a follow, give them a watch, and most importantly, being nice is punk rock. Is that how we go out?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, everybody, go out and be punk rock in the nice way. Bye.
Bye.